宝鏡三昧歌, I think, would be the Chinese. Japanese Hokyo Zammai, English, the Treasure Mirror Samadhi. And every 2 weeks I want to talk about this text, and the other weeks I want to talk about Sawaki Roshi's To You. But before I start to talk about the text, or maybe explain what kind of text it is and who is the author, as always, let's sit together for 30 minutes.
我们前面还是先坐禅30分钟，然后后面今天讲那个宝镜三昧。最初30分ぐらい座禅をします。で、はい。 Hello? Can you hear me,
Can you
Momo?
hear me?
Yes.
Okay, now. Okay,
Yes.
I'll try. Ah. Mhm. Is there a way that I record on my computer? Maybe not. Maybe you can send me the link to the cloud recording later. So, thank you for joining. I want to start my talk on the Hokyo Zammai in Japanese. The Treasure Mirror Samadhi today. What kind of text is that? Probably you all know, probably I said a number of times that Zen is the Buddhist school that claims that it's not based on words. It's not based on the written teachings by the Buddha. Still, in probably all Zen temples, both in China and Japan, the monks recite the sutras. For example, this is the Sotoshu Sutra book. And one of the sutras which is recited probably every day is the Heart Sutra that I talked about until the summer. Also in Japan, Zen monks recite parts of the Lotus Sutra, but interestingly, there's also Chinese texts in this sutra books. Normally a sutra is something that comes from India, but in Zen some texts from China are also treated as sutras, as holy scriptures, so to speak. And the Hokyo Zammai is one of them. Another one would be the Sandokai. Also, maybe the oldest one, it's called Shinjin-mei in Japanese, or Shin-shin-ming in Chinese. And there's a fourth one, which is called Shodoka. You will find information about all of these texts on the internet. I want to give you just a short overview. Let me share the screen for a moment. This is some in-depth information on the Song of the Treasure Mirror Samadhi, it's called here. I will paste the links in the chat function. So this is something I can recommend. You find both the English and the Chinese version of the text, and also some very good information on the author. Another English book that I can recommend is by Teres Bolletta, and you can find the whole book on the internet. And the text that I want to talk about the next couple of weeks, you can find here in chapter 22. And the other one that I mentioned, the Sandokai, that's also in this book. That's chapter 20. Maybe the oldest Chinese text that's treated like a sutra is the Shin-shin-ming. And this is attributed to the, I think it was the third Chinese ancestor. His Japanese name is So-san. In Chinese it would be Seng-chan. So that's one text. And also one of the people that participate in this Monday meeting, one person expressed the wish that I talk about this text. What is maybe most famous in the Shin-shin-ming is the first line, which is, "The highest way is not difficult. You only have to stop picking and choosing." So that's a sentence that's very famous. But to be honest, I personally don't like this text so much. For me, it's too non-dualistic. It's always talking about don't make preferences, don't choose, don't make differences. And as soon as you stop doing that, you will be in possession of the truth. The reason I don't like it, because, well, in my mind, that's very dualistic. To say everything is very easy as soon as you stop choosing. But choosing is also a part of life. So we cannot stop choosing. But it's a very famous text. Another text from China that's famous in Zen is the Song of Enlightenment in English, or in Japanese it's called Shodoka. In Chinese, maybe you would say Zheng Dao Ge. This one I like quite a lot. Maybe there will be a chance in the future that I talk about this. I think it's attributed to an 8th century monk, Yongjia Xuanjue. But with all of these texts, the scholars have doubts if they really stem from the authors that they are attributed to. Most scholars agree that they are a couple of centuries younger than that, but to give the text more authority, they are attributed to some old famous monk. So, for example, that's also true for Bodhidharma. There's about 6 or so texts that are attributed to Bodhidharma, but it's very doubtful that actually Bodhidharma wrote those texts. And the same is true for these texts that I'm talking about. Sandokai in Chinese would be the Chantongqi. I don't know if I pronounced that right. It seems that there's also very old Taoist text with the same title, but this one is different. It's attributed to Shito Shikian, or Sekto Kisen in Japanese, who is one of the earliest Soto monks. And then in the same tradition comes the text that I want to talk about today. Song of the Treasure Mirror Samadhi, or in Chinese,宝鏡三昧歌. In Japanese you would read that Hokyo Sammai Ka. Well, the 5th character often is omitted. The 5th one is the one for song. So the first one, precious or treasure, the second one, the mirror. Sammai is samadhi, and a song about that. Before I explain a little bit about the author, maybe I stop here and give Xuan-san a chance to translate. Or maybe before that, here's a picture of the author, Tozan Ryokai in Japanese. But I will say a little bit more about that after Xuan-san's translation.
我简单跟大家翻译一下啊，就是我们今天开始讲宝镜三味歌，然后其实在就是禅修、禅宗的佛教禅宗这些学校里面，大部分学校其实都不是依靠文字的，不是依靠教学。禅宗它主要就是靠每天的练习坐禅，但是但是在这些禅宗学校里面呢，也有一些经书，就是每天都会诵的经，比如说像《心经》，我们之前讲的《心经》应该是每天都会读。然后除了《心经》之外呢，还有一些其他的书，就是比较有名，然后大家都会学习的。像日本比较流行就是有《莲花经》，基本上每天都会读。然后还有一些中文的一些就是就一些诗经，一些经文，在一些那个禅宗的学校里面都会学。然后 比如说我们之前其实讲过那个信心明，之前好像老师讲过一次信心明，但是刚刚老师说其实他不是特别喜欢信心明这本书，因为这本书里面他主要说就是如果你不选择这个，不要选择那个，就会有一个什么好的结果，不要选，不要选。但是老师说，其实我们人生一直都在面临选择，那他告诉你不要选，其实但是不要选不是一个你不能面对的问题，你面对的问题是其实我们一直是在选的。所以信心明可能不是老师特别喜欢的一部，老师特别喜欢的一部是另外一个也比较有名，一共有4本书，应该是啊，就比较中文的一些四本比较有名的经文，在日本也挺流行的。然后刚刚那个信心明是一个，还有就是叫正道歌是一个，老师比较喜欢这个正道歌，他说老师说以后可能就是有机会会讲到，还有一本叫参同契，然后是。然后三周戏完了之后，就是我们下面今天最近就是现在要讲的这个宝镜三位歌。然后这个三位呢，三位就是那个三摩地，宝镜宝就是宝物，镜子就是镜子，然后歌就是我们说的歌颂，所以它大概其实是这个意思。然后在这个之前呢，老师可能接下来会给大家讲一讲那个作者应该是洞山良，最后一个念甲还是什么，我刚才没看清啊，就那个照片上那个禅师，可能老师接下来会讲一下作者。嗯
Thank you. Let me say a few things now about the author. So this is a picture of him, and in Japanese you would read the name Tozan Ryokai. He's called the 38th patriarch here, so counted from Buddha Shakyamuni. And Bodhidharma was number 28, so he comes 10 generations after Bodhidharma. Let's have a look at the information that can be found on this page here. So the author of the text in Chinese, it would be Tungshan Liangjie, or Dongshan, Pinyin Dongshan Liangjie. And on this side we find several stories related to him. Maybe the most important one is, well, actually, well, that's interesting. It's kind of interesting because often in the old koan collections, in the old tales about the Zen masters, you find one great enlightenment experience. And it's kind of interesting because in the case of Tozan or Dongshan, you find several. And so the question is, well, when did he get enlightened? When did he get enlightened? Let's have a look. For example, here you have this story from the Mumonkan. It's called in Japanese Wumenkwan, case number 15. And that's a story from the time when Dongshan was studying with Yunmen, or Japanese Ummon, very famous Zen master. And at one time, Ummon asked Tozan, please forgive me if I use the Japanese pronunciation, for me it's easier. Ummon asked Tozan, where are you from? And Tozan answers Sato, which is obviously the name of some location. Where were you during the summer? So where did you spend the 90 days between practice periods? And Tozan answered, well, I was at the monastery of Pao Tzu, south of the lake. When did you leave there? Ummon asked. On August 25, was Tozan's reply. I spare you 60 blows. So Tozan is basically replying in the, how do you say, ordinary, common sense way. And after a while, Ummon says, well, I could have given you 60 blows, but I spare them to you. The next day, Tozan came to Ummon and said, yesterday you said you spared me 60 blows. I beg to ask you, where was I at fault? Oh, you rise back, shouted Ummon. What makes you wander about, now west of the river, now south of the lake? Tozan thereupon came to a mighty enlightenment experience. So he had a big satori at the time. This is one of the koans that we find in the Mumonkan. When asked where Tozan came from, where he traveled, when he started, he answers in the common sense way. And Ummon says, I could have given you 60 blows, but I spare them. And the next day when he asked what was wrong with my answer, you useless rise back. And then he had a big enlightenment experience. The funny thing is that Tozan is later, that's something that you find here, he later became a Dharma heir. He got Dharma transmission from a different teacher, Ungan Donjo. But then we hear about another enlightenment experience he is supposed to have had after he left his teacher, which was his great breakthrough. So that's interesting because, well, when did he get enlightened? Did he get enlightened already with Ummon or with the teacher that he got Dharma transmission from? Or did he actually awaken afterwards? This awakening after he left his teacher, after he got Dharma transmission, is, in my point of view, maybe the most interesting. Here you got the Chinese text of that. I want to follow the English reading here. These are 4 different English translations. Let me read the last one. Don't seek from others, or you'll be estranged from yourself. I now go on alone. So I think here he's talking about his travels after he left his teacher. He already got Dharma transmission and now he's standing on his own feet. He left his teacher. He's traveling alone. I now go on alone. Everywhere I encounter it. And some people say when he says it, he means his teacher that he already left. But I think that more probably he's talking about his true self. He left his teacher, he's traveling alone, and wherever he goes, he's confronted with his own true self. Everywhere I encounter it, it now is me. I now am not it. And they say he had this realization when he was passing by a river. Or because a river is moving, it makes more sense to me if he was maybe crossing a lake or something, some quiet water. He was looking down and he saw his face. And he realized, again, I meet my true self there. But at the same time, what I'm seeing there is not me. It's not separate from me, but it's not the same as me. These two are one and the same, but they are separate. There's this, how do you say, contradiction. you look at the mirror and you see yourself, but at the same time you have the realization, but what I see there is not the person who's seeing in this moment. And the same you can say about anything you see out there in the world. You look at a building, at a mountain, at a river, and what you see there is not separate from you, but the thing you see is not the thing that's doing the seeing. That's how I understand this. It now is me, I now am not it. And very similar phrases later we will encounter in the Hokyo Zammai, in the Treasure Mirror Samadhi. One must understand it in this way, to merge with being as it is. And maybe for the Chinese, I will share once more the screen. This is the Chinese text. So probably today I won't get to the actual text, but I want to share this very important verse from Tozan with you. And once more, scholars doubt that this whole text is actually from Tozan. Some people say maybe it was written 200 years after Tozan. It was only attributed to it. But either way, the text is in the spirit of Tozan. It's in the spirit, written in the spirit of the realization, I'm one with everything. And at the same time, there's something separate from the world here. Okay, Schwanzan, maybe you can translate, and after that, if you have questions or things that you would like to share, please feel welcome to do so.
哇，这个有点难啊！今天老师讲这个好难呀。那个，我简单说一下，我把我能听懂的说一下。这个后边有一点我没有听懂。他那个中文那个诗有，我觉得那个一会儿我们可以网上稍微查一查资料啊。然后他英文翻译的那个也非常的抽象，我觉得英文翻译那个没有把原来中文的那个真正的意思说的特别明白啊。就是一般的禅师呢，就是他都有一些有名的他入定的故事，一些有名的禅师。但是我们这个作者啊，他叫洞山，我等会儿我看叫啥来着？对，洞山良价。这个禅师呢，他是个中国人啊，他应该是湖南那边的一个禅师。我们一会儿在网上可以查一下，就是他有很多的故事，查他的资料的时候，他有很多的他入定的故事。就是他这些一般的禅师的公案可能有一个两个特别有名，但是他有很多个故事。那他有很多的故事呢，我们就有一个疑问，就是说他到底是什么时候入定的？他是什么时候那个入萨玛迪的呢？他是跟他老师，就是有一个特别有名的故事呢，有几个特别有名的故事。刚刚老师那个分享了一个啊，但是那个故事我把我听懂的跟你们说一下，后边第二天我没有听懂啊。第一天就是说他和云门禅师啊，他跟云门禅师学习过，然后他跟他在一起那个禅修的时候呢，老师就问他说你是从哪儿来的呀？然后他说那个我是从湖南抱瓷这个地方来的。然后说啊，那你什么时候走呢？他说我8月25号走。然后呢，可能就是，然后这是第一天，然后第二天他又回来了，然后老师又问了他一个啥，我刚刚没有听懂啊，我们看一下这个，就是山治。然后第二天他又回来，老师又问他，说你昨天的那个好像没答对还是什么？然后呢，就是他跟老师有了一个什么对话，然后他突然就是觉悟了，这么一个故事啊，一会儿我们再查一下。后第二天我没听懂。然后那个这是一个故事啊，然后还有就是在他离开了这个云门禅师之后呢，他又有很多有名的一些故事。所以就是说不知道，我们就是一个疑问，说是他是和云门禅师一起禅修的时候问了他这些问题，然后他找到了入定了呢，还是说他跟其他一些禅师那个学习的时候禅修的时候入定的，还是说他离开了他所有这些老师，自己一个人在修行的时候入定了呢？我们是不知道的。然后他有一个特别有名的那个诗啊，就刚刚大家看他那幅画上面有一首短诗，就是那个大概题的就是说，那首诗的大概题的意思啊，就是说我们不应该去寻觅别人，我们不应该去一直在寻找别人，因为如果是或者是你一直想要，好像想要把自己分开。 就是或者我们不应该一直是寻找别人，或者是你总是很想将来把你自己和自己分开，就大概是这个意思。然后我现在呢是一个人，不管我到哪个地方，我都是一个人。然后后面说我现在是，现在是我，但是我又不是现在。你一定要明白这个道理，就是说，这好像这首诗是他在过一条河的时候写下来的，突然有了一个大彻大悟，就是说，我在过这条河的时候呢，是我过河，但是好像又不是当时那个我过河，河是那条河，但是也不是当时那条河。就是他那就是说，好像我们和这个世界万物是合一的，但是我们又是跟它分开的。就是他的一个理论，好像一直是这样的一个理论。然后今天因为我们第一节课时间有限，可能老师只能介绍一下背景。然后下一周可能我们会讲突诱，然后再隔一周会继续，老师可能从一句开始，从那个宝镜三味歌，然后一句一句跟大家分析啊。大概是这个意思。一会儿很多资料我们可能还要再查一下，我觉得这个挺难的啊，这次老师讲这个有点难啊，但是我觉得挺有意思的。然后大家有问题可以提啊。
Thank you. So we still have a little time, not much time, but if you have questions, anything you would like to ask or share, you're welcome to do so. Yes, Julian, please. Julian.
Can you hear me? I'm working on my mobile phone, which I'm not used to.
You're in Asia already?
Yeah, I'm in Kamaishi. I've been hiking for 4 weeks on my own on the northeast coast.
Tohoku. Yeah.
Yeah. So what you were just saying so resonates, because day after day I'm walking on my own through the mountains, not meeting anyone. Then I meet someone, and in Japanese we have a conversation, and they say, "Where are you from?" And I say, "Well, I'm from England." And they say, "Where have you walked from today?" And I say, "Well, Kasanuma." And they say, "Where are you going?" And I say, "Kamaiki." But none of it seems to get to the point. As I answer, I think, yeah, but this is, but then I take a selfie of myself at the top of a pass,
Yeah.
and there is somebody. So this exactly resonates today. So thank you so much.
Yeah. You earned yourself 60 blows.
I think but mostly I'm just trying to avoid bears, Muho.
Yeah.
But this introduction was just so perfect for what my experience has been. That is there someone here or not? You know, it's hard to decide. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Any other questions or anything else you would like to share? Nothing? I think I already said it last time, but I think next week on Sunday, the time in Europe will change to winter time. That means next Monday in Europe, it will be 1 hour earlier, because in China and Japan, I think time doesn't change. So next week, I talk about Samaki Roshis to you again. And then normally in 2 weeks, I would get back to the Hokyo Zammai. Let me use the Japanese pronunciation because I confuse the Chinese all the time. The Treasure Mirror Samadhi. But in 2 weeks, I'm away from the internet. So in 3 weeks, I get back to this. In 2 weeks, please let me take a break. And next week also, I'm not in Osaka, but in a hotel in Yonago. But I hope that everything will work with internet. So in 1 week, you see me in a different environment, but everything should work, hopefully. And then in 2 weeks, please let's take a break, and we're gonna get back to this text in 3 weeks. So if you have no more questions, I would like to thank you and thank, of course, Shwan-san for hosting us here, for translating, and have a nice week. See you again next Monday.